Hey guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video. So remember how I told you there was this weird continuation that after f5, right, after one move f5, I had to calculate the moves en passant, knight takes, and bishop takes g6, and the only move I considered here was take. But the winning move here was the move king to e7. That I did not see in my calculations, and that's why I didn't play the move f5 in the first place. Queen to g5, and what I had to see was the move rook to g8, or the move queen to g8, and just go for that bishop. But at the same time, I also use this piece to protect the knight. So I had to see all that, but I didn't. So I saw f5, but I just didn't see what happened after. Let me just show you. So f5 takes, knight takes. I didn't see how I could make it work after pawn takes bishop. What I did miss was king to e7, so I played knight to c6 instead. But if you play bishop takes, pawn takes, I kind of felt like knight to c6 wasn't so great either. What I probably should have done is could have played d6 as one move, right? And brought the knight out this way. But bringing the knight out to c6, it closed up my own diagonal. And I think that was not a great decision. So then our friend Annie G001 makes a very good decision. Bishop to d2, reroute it to g5, and I said, let's play h6, c3, d6. So finally I'm trying to loosen my pieces up. f4, and now I play knight to e7, saying I'm going to reroute to f5 and I'm going to have some fun. Queen to e2, queen to d7. So knight to f3, I castle queenside. Now here I really considered castle kingside, and I considered castling queenside. And in the end I decided to castle queenside because my kingside, well, I kind of felt like if white attacked, white would have a good attack. And if white attacked queenside, it would be a good attack, but it would be slower, right? Because obviously I'm very well fortified and I have some defensive resources that can come my way. So I castled, and after a4 I played a6, saying if you play a5, I'm going to play b5. I'm just going to not engage. So after a6, a5, b5, and now b3. So our friend Annie G001 is trying to open it up with the move c4. Try to go for one of these pawns, try to open up the position. So I play rook h to e8, saying I'm going to move my knight out. I'm going to play f6, and I'm going to put some pressure down this file. That was my goal. So here after c4, I play takes. And I take, and here I briefly considered the move bishop takes f3. But I didn't quite like it because of queen takes f3 and queen to a8 with the threat of mate. What I could have thought about is queen to c6, but I didn't quite see that. And I didn't quite think about that move afterwards. So that is one thing I could have seen, but I didn't quite see. So that's another, I guess, note to self. What I could have also done is I could have also played d takes e5. Because after knight takes e5, I take the pawn on d4. So after d takes e5, f takes e5, I could have also played bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, queen takes bishop, so pawn has to take f3, and now knight to c6 with the threat of knight to d4. That is something I could have seen as well, but I didn't see those things just yet. I played knight f5 first, and my goal was the same thing, was to take, or my goal was to take, try to open up the position, right? And here's why I saw this, was personally, I said, you know what, the king isn't castled yet, and I feel like this arrangement, given that my rooks are positioned to create destruction in the center, I should be the one opening up the position, and I do exactly just that. Castles, d takes e5, saying, if you take with the pawn, I'm going to take the knight, and f takes e5, I'm going to take the pawn, knight takes, queen takes, and so instead of playing king h1, should have played bishop to e3, save the bishop at least. But here I take the bishop, and my game gets much easier by this series of threats. I'm able to improve, and our friend Annie G001 makes one last shot at it with the move e6, because after rook takes e6, queens. So I can't allow that. So I have to play pawn takes e6. That was a really tough game, but I managed to pull through. So obviously, like I said, here I could have played bishop takes g2, but I wanted to give our friend Annie G001 a chance. So after bishop takes, instead of taking on g2, I said I'm going to play knight to d5, queen to g4, g6. Now I'm not sure if I should have played g6, because at the same time that g6 prevents the queen from coming to g7, it creates a lot of weaknesses. It creates a lot of weak squares. And what Annie G001 should have done here is play bishop to d2 and reroute it to g5 immediately. But after bishop to e4, I had this move f5, but I didn't calculate it all the way with the move king d7 later on. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just watch one of the earlier stages of this video, because I talked about it. I said, I had the thought of f5, but after take, knight take, bishop takes g6, I missed the move king d7, bringing the pieces to g8 and having fun there. So I played knight to c6 instead, and I honestly don't think that was too great of a move even now, because it blocks my bishop, and in all sincerity, I didn't like my position after this happened. Bishop to d2, I mean, our friend Annie G001 was just playing great, but I kind of felt like, a4, a6, this was all good, but here, c4, this was probably the losing move. I would say, it was a good effort to try to attack my spots, right? Try to open up this, open it up. But it was hard to really notice that, once I took here, I could open up so much in the center, right? My pieces are positioned to look at the white king and be like, you know what, you're a bit foolish right now. You should have castled. You should have castled already. So rook to hd8, and that's why castling here was probably the best move. Because after c4, well, everything gets opened up. Knight takes, queen takes bishop, and made my job easier. And hopefully, you enjoyed this video. You keep on playing chess, despite all those mistakes, because I make mistakes as well, right? Nobody's perfect. And a good way to improve is to look over your mistakes, analyze them, write them down, and maybe say, how can I prevent this next time, right? Or was there anything better I could do in this situation, right? So in my games, I tell you my thought process, I tell you my thinking, and I also tell you where I don't necessarily I don't necessarily see everything. Like, for example, when we saw that f5 continuation, I didn't see the entire variation. I didn't see the move king to e7. So, because I didn't see those things, I have those noted in my mind now. And so, if I will likely if I remember my mistakes, or if I recall my mistakes through like thinking about them, writing them down, and taking a moment to really look at them, I'm probably not going to make the same mistake again. But it's about having fun that's most important, finding your curiosity, and really discovering how chess makes you express yourself, right? And if you don't enjoy chess, that's okay, because not everyone likes it. I mean, it's a very hard game, but all that matters is you have fun, you don't have a temper tantrum over it, because you're going to lose a lot of times, like I do. So, I'll see you next time.